So, Fire Staff Greatsword. I didn't think it would hit this hard. I honestly, I was hoping the Greatsword would be good, but I didn't expect these kind of results. This build hits like a truck. It is so mobile. It has crazy good healing power. I mean, this has got to be one of the best solo builds that I've played in PvP. And, you know, whenever you try a hybrid build like this, you kind of have mixed, expectations, because sometimes they don't go really well. And then other times you get a really good combo like this and it just plays incredibly well. This entire build is basically AoE, so it's really nice for PvP because if you're outnumbered or you have multiple people in front of you, everything you do is going to hurt everybody around you. And I think that's caught a lot of people off guard with this build. They don't expect me to do so much damage to everybody. And then on top of it, we've got that damage. We've got that Greatsword damage that rivals a weapon like Serenity, but we don't need Serenity, which is such a hard weapon to get your hands on. Fire Staff and Greatsword being such an effective combo for mobility. We've got two gap closers and Greatsword having excellent reach. And then finally, maybe the biggest highlight of this build, and kind of an unexpected one, is the healing power. This thing is so hard to kill because you can just shoot right back up to full health. Greatsword has tons of heals baked into it, and I've gotten really into building that healing power on my builds lately, and I've had really incredible results in PvP with them. So if you guys want to see the build breakdown, it'll be in the second half of this video after all the gameplay, and there's a written guide linked down below if you like that more. Let's get into that PvP commentary. So, as you guys can see, there's a lot of enemy players here, and we've gotten some pretty nice bursts. We got some good showcase of the healing already as well. And this is a long fight. This is all one OPR, the entire footage that I have for you guys today. So, yeah, it was just a really good game. What can I say? I get good damage on those guys. Turn around, big damage on the second smack there. The friendly's throwing the range damage down too. And I go for the burnout through and get great AoE coverage. Oh my god, everybody just kind of getting hit there. And that's just a good example of the build. We're doing a lot of damage to everybody around us, even when we're doing defensive and retreating maneuvers. We're going through them with burnout, we're hitting them with these AoEs, and now a friendly comes charging out to help, and after backing up and healing, I just start throwing some ranged attacks in with the guys from the keep, and I just kind of cautiously approach here. Just kind of throwing those ranged attacks in. I don't want to rush in if I don't have to, so here we got a friendly player though that's kind of pulled this guy off on his own. He's caught out of position. We get good damage with the Greatsword, but he does a good job dodging the end of the combo there. And we miss it, and he ends up surviving. I retreat back into the woods, just do a bit of a weave as I retreat. You definitely never want to run in a straight line while you're getting shot at. And we avoid a lot of the damage and heal up a little bit. And I just wait for these guys to come back, and we're just going to do our best to bomb them. Huge damage with the burnout. Oh my god. And I think just one tick of the crosscut there, he goes down. That guy was pretty squishy though. And yeah, I'm sure you guys have noticed the burn damage is the big downside of this build. I think it's bugged. It has in the past scaled from strength successfully. It has also not scaled from strength successfully in the past. So I don't know if it is, something Amazon does or doesn't want to do with this. But there's a great example again. We get caught in a terrible position trying to take out the archer in the very back there. And just huge healing power after popping our ultimate. We pop the rest of our potions. A lot of this build has investment into increasing that healing power, and we've got a lot of separate heals. We got Healing Breeze, we got Shirking Heals, Tumbler's Boots, a lot of stuff going into it. Here we manage to catch this guy low on stamina. I go for the crosscut. Unfortunately, I take a ton of damage myself, and again, just see how my health shoots up. Oh my gosh, but we got to do a good weave here. Use that double roll to get behind cover, and then I look behind me here, pop the Calamity counter. I am running the stamina back on my Greatsword, so we get 50 stamina back when we pop that counter. And that just helps me put the roll a little bit sooner than normal. Nice little trade with the Rapier player there. And there we see nice connection on the Fire Staff, and he actually goes down to the burn. So yeah, the burn damage kind of sucks, but the Fire Staff damage itself is still great. We had huge burst with that. We got a nice big crit on him. But unfortunately, that's the only player, I think, in the entire video that you're going to see go down to the measly burn damage with this bad strength scaling. Either way, we catch this guy, and we eventually Greatsword, man, you just keep trading with heavy attacks and enemy players run out of stamina dodging it and they just get destroyed. This guy just gasses his stamina. Oh no, he panicked and double rolled. We get huge damage with the crosscut. We take him down. I try to go for the incinerate. I lied. Another player goes down to the burn. We get that guy with the burn on the end of incinerate, but I end up going down. Just maybe shouldn't have jumped in there. And now moving on to a little bit later in the fight after dying a couple times, of course. And we see a bunch of enemy players inside here just fighting with the friendlies as well. I try to fight my way up the wall here. We got to make sure to watch our tail, though. This guy is coming after us with the hatchet. I go for a full heavy attack. It does connect on him, and somebody else shot him with an arrow. And that poor guy just got nuked by that combo. He had over half health when he jumped down. Either way, we'll take that. We go for the burnout into this guy here. Don't land anything. We do connect a pretty decent fireball on him, but he ends up retreating. I go for the next player. Oh my god. One spin into the heavy attack. This poor guy. That was over 12k damage. I mean, he could have been running 100 con like I am. That could have been enough to kill him. Oh my god. That's just crazy. The damage on this build, the Greatsword is so punishing. And there is just crazy healing power from that ultimate. The combination of the Greatsword, of course, giving us a little bit more healing too. Man, guys, healing power in PvP, especially with all the disease going around, it directly counters the disease in a way because you're making up for that lost healing power by adding more. I don't know. It works in my head. Either way, we get inside here and I just start causing havoc. We get some good damage into some players, but I see a lot of players turn on me. I charge up that heavy attack. Oh, I take a lot of damage as I go down though. And just pop those heals again. Really, really good with a healing breeze. Everything working there. And this guy just caught outside by himself. We don't connect with the burnout, but I do get close to him. Just close enough to land the end of this spin. And oh my god, what was that? That was like 8k damage on the first two cuts. Holy crap, crosscut is so strong. I always love to cancel it like that. I don't like to use the last cut that often, and that's exactly why. You just get two really fast, really strong cuts. And here we see 3 enemy players jump on top of me as I go in here. Nice fireball, not really. I think I only hit 1 player. Everybody else dodged it, so I go for the burnout in. That hits a few more players, and I try to feed the heavy attack into the crosscut. I missed the heavy attack, so I right away just cancel out of the first crosscut there. And here we see the enemy musket player. We've got a hatchet guy behind us, though, so I right away go for the spin and do kind of an awkward spin around him, but it works. And then I go for the burnout right away back in. Lots of direction changing, honestly. In these kinds of fights, they're hectic. People are switching targets all the time. So if you're moving through troops, enemy troops, friendly troops, everything like crazy like that, it makes you a not attractive target to chase. Let's put it that way. And here I see a couple guys chasing me. I do good damage there, just kind of softening him up with the fire staff. He decides to back out. The other guy comes up here. I charge a heavy attack. Oh my god, but I eat his heavy attack and what looks like an arrow or something from the side. I almost go down to that combo there, but there's that nasty healing power, man. No ultimate required. Right back up to full health. And we are ready to keep going here. The next potion is 3 seconds away. Oh, now we need the ultimate. Tons of damage there. It looks like we got some somebody up top shooting at me as well. But just, you know, that healing ultimate, I just... I'm not exaggerating when I say this build's healing power is disgusting. It's so crazy. And there's beautiful, just heavy attack into the crosscut. Huge damage on those two trying to use a door. And, you know, I've been there. Don't try to use that door, man. That ain't gonna work. That's not a workable door. Ooh, I take a ton of damage as I go back up again, though. And, yeah, just forced to chug those potions. There you see, I'm hit with a bunch of disease. My healing is decreased, but because I have all that healing power jacked up, we're still getting a 3.5k heal from the potion. And yeah, I get back inside. I try to go for the spin. That guy actually went down to somebody's ranged attack instead. So I turn around and just kind of do a weave. And this guy is going out the door. I go for the burnout to try to chase him. He runs away. He's got his berserk, so I decide not to chase. And then he comes back through. Oh, man, the direction change. He got me. So I go right back in here. I do land the end of the heavy attack, or the spin there, into the musket player. But I decide not to stick out that combo because he did hit me with a grenade. And I still don't dodge it properly. So that's on me. What can I say? And I get on top of this ranged player, big damage, and we finish him with the end of the crosscut. One of the few times we'll actually let that animation play out to reach him. All right, let's take a look at that build. So to start off, the attributes. Now, there's a lot in this build for attributes, a lot of different options that we had. Unfortunately, Fire Staff Burning is not scaling from strength, and I think this is a bug. I don't think it's supposed to be this way. It has worked in the past, and it also hasn't worked in the past. But for now, that means that Fire Staff is going to lose a ton of damage by not having that burn damage. You have the option of maybe dumping some points in intel, but you really drop Greatsword damage doing that. So unfortunately, for how Inferno is right now, you kind of have to pick between, do you want better Greatsword or Fire Staff damage? Seeing as Greatsword is the very hard-hitting one on this build, I think it's better to go this way. I did try 300 strength with 150 intel. Fire Staff was better, but yeah, this was the best results all around. Unfortunately, that's just the way it is right now. Hopefully, maybe you're watching this in the future and this isn't bugged anymore and you don't have to worry about it. But yeah, Greatsword's going to benefit a ton from the 350 strength. Dexterity going to 100 is also great for Greatsword. And we get those jump point bonuses that will help Fire Staff as well. Fire Staff gets really bad diminishing returns after 350 to 400 points. So I think this is the best way to go. The Fire Staff still hits pretty decently. If the burns actually ticked, it would hit very hard. And that Greatsword is just ruining people's lives. There's no other words to put it. Looking at the rest, we've got 50 focus, 100 constitution. This is the new meta, guys. Trust me. 100 constitution, 50 focus because of that healing power. It goes a long way. On top of it, you get the cooldown reduction. If you go to 150 con, sure, you might get a couple thousand more health, but I don't know. I favor that incoming healing power. It makes a huge difference, and not all of our heals are scaling from our health and stuff like that. We have heals that are scaling from weapon damage, so all around, this is an incredibly useful perk to go into, and you only have to put 45 points in focus because you have 5 already, so you get 5 more points to put somewhere else if you want. Now, while I was in OPR, I had 700 gear score boosted gear, so I could actually run 25 intel with this build as well. I would actually recommend you do that if you can, even going to 50 intel to up that burn damage because it's so bad. But if they fix the burn damage, I think I would just put everything in Dex afterwards and not worry about intel at all for this build anymore. All right, so let's take a look at the weapon mastery for this build. Starting off with our Greatsword. I got weird trees here. Again, I'm not using any of the Greatsword ultimate abilities or passives here. I'm just focusing on the skills and a ton of the other passives that I want. Relentless Rush into Relentless Power. We really want that in Power. These are nice perks, but they don't make me hit harder, so I've opted to go for other stuff. And then, of course, Crosscut. I didn't go for the last perk in Crosscut because in the gameplay, you guys will see I almost never complete the Crosscut. I'd like to cancel it as often as I can. It's a very strong and fast move when you cancel it. 240% weapon damage on the first 2 hits, and it's like half a second to land both of them. Yeah. And then, of course, we've got Calamity Counter. Now, I'm running the counter perk on my Greatsword. If you aren't, I would actually recommend going for Steadfast Strike instead. And then you can open up more offensive perks for your Greatsword, or if you just don't like running Counter. Counter is really nice, and it's saved me a lot of times, but also people know what it does, so if you pop it too early, or if someone is smart about it, you kind of just sit there with your pants down in the counter. But anyway, the really important passives that we get here, of course, are going to be the Step and Strike, the Critical Comeback. These are heals. This will proc our Healing Breeze on our ring as well. And then, of course, Step and Strike, just so much additional damage after a roll. And we're rolling a ton with the Greatsword, so we'll almost always have this one up. And then entering Onslaught stance on heavy attacks, as well as entering Defiant stance on blocks. In my gameplay, I don't block enough. That's one of my biggest criticisms to myself when I play Greatsword. I am built into having that awesome block. I should definitely be utilizing it a lot more than I am. And there you go. The rest of them are just passives increasing damage. I really like the guaranteed crit when we enter Onslaught stance as well. Anything to up that burst, especially since I'm running Trenchant crits on the Greatsword. Now, let's take a look at the Fire Staff tree. Unfortunately for Fire Staff, we have that neutered burn damage, so I built basically my favorite Fire Staff tree. You guys have seen this a bunch if you've been watching my videos the past month. We've got full burnout, 1 in Incinerate because, you know, fuck the rest of Incinerate. All we really need is that upfront damage. And then we've got Fireball with the first perk here for that smolder that it applies. And then, of course, all of these perks just to up damage and up burning duration. I've also got that cooldown on heavy attacks. Again, you know, we're sitting at Empower Cap, so Runes of Helios does pretty much nothing for us. I mean, it will at sometimes do stuff, but for the most part, really, it's kind of wasted, especially if we have all our other Empower up. And then Backdraft, I'll be honest, this just sucks. Maybe actually because my burns are so bad, Backdraft would actually be a really good option. That's actually something to consider. I might try that in the gameplay. Because yeah, this will actually convert those crappy burns into dealing weapon damage. Holy crap. Cool revelation as I do this build video. I think I'm going to try that out maybe tomorrow. Anyway, let's take a look at the gear that I'm running on this build. So let's start off with the Inferno staff. It puts this build together, and without this staff, you can't make it happen because this guy scales to strength. Unfortunately, we don't get that burn scaling. It's a bug. I swear it's a bug. They're going to fix it one day. I've got Empowering Fireball on my Inferno. The Keenly Empowered is nice, but it makes us have to be kind of wary how much Empower we stack on this build. Vicious is always great for a Fire Staff. And then, of course, I've got the Ignited Gambit, bonus damage when our stam is not full, and it applies that 8% fire damage burn. The only burn that we have that is any good on this build. And then looking at the Greatsword, I've got Shirking Flames, Trenchant Crits, and Energizing Counter. Now, instead of Shirking Flames, I would actually like to have something like Penetrating Backstab or Keenly Jagged. That would be perfect for this build. If you don't want to run the counter, you could just put another offensive perk instead of Energizing Counter. I mean, Attunement, Keenly Jagged, Trenchant Crit sounds like a nasty Greatsword for a build like this. I am just limited. We're on the Fresh Start server, and I don't want to dump an insane amount of money. I love that OPR scales us up to 700 because I can just buy these below 700 weapons for kind of cheaper prices and get some pretty good perks with them. So I suggest you guys do the same. I've also got the Gambit on here. I would put Gambit plus an elemental damage, like nature damage, because that one is usually the cheapest rune glass. And the reason for that is just because it gives better damage than the Gambit by itself. Again, I didn't want to put the money into it. Ha! Moving on, next, we've got the armor here. So, I actually got some Shirking Heals together on this build, and my survivability goes up immensely when I start stacking more Shirking Heals on a build like this. We've got an insane amount of healing power. So we've got 3 so far. That's amazing. And then we've got the Tumbler Feet Wrap on top of it. So the equivalent of about 4 Shirking Heals. Tumbler is definitely worth more if you're dodging a lot because it only has a 1-second cooldown. And then for the rest of the gear, I like the Slash Conditioning perk because it reduces your normal damage absorption, which I believe is your bleed damage. So that's really nice. That's a good perk to have. But ideally, guys, for me on this build, the perfect piece of gear would have Shirking Heals, Freedom, and Refreshing. Freedom is so important, I think, if you're going to play a non-dex build, because you got to be able to get out of those stuns and those immobilize and everything as soon as possible. Refreshing, you can't go wrong with. Honestly, it's great for all kinds of different builds. And yeah, Shirking Heals, just amazing. I don't mind stuff like Ellie Aversion if you can get that in there too. You could drop the Refreshing if you really want and just favor more defensive perks as well. It's really up to the user. Honestly, there's a lot of good perks to pick from, so you don't have to follow exactly what I have here. The important part is that you're building against what is going to hurt you in PvP. And seeing as we're a very kitey mobile build, the biggest threats to us are range damage. So we've built against thrust damage resist, and we've built against fire damage resist. I've got 1 thrust conditioning here. And then a physical aversion bringing us up to almost 20% thrust damage resist. And then yeah, just 25% fire flat across the board. And then I put the rest into elemental defenses here. Now, looking at the jewelry, there is so much to say about the jewelry. Ideally, I think I would actually have either the Phoenix necklace or I would have the elemental band ring. I don't have either. The Phoenix is easy to get, but honestly, man, it's not a bad amulet, but it doesn't give health. I would run the stamina recovery and the refreshing recovery that it comes with, and I would put Divines on the Phoenix instead of health. I really value that healing this patch. It's so strong. But for me, I just have the Acorn. You can also go for the Life Ring amulet here if you want to magnify instead of focus. I believe I have one in my bag. There it is. So that's a bit better of an option, but the Acorn is a dungeon drop that you can just go and make with your materia. So that's why I went with that. And we're going 50 focus anyway, so I don't mind. And then for the ring, Healing Breeze, Hardy, and I've got Refreshing. I think I would like to have Keen here, or Keen Awareness for the additional crit chance, or ideally something like Invigorated Punishment, but that can be a pretty tricky ring to get your hands on right now. So fire damage or slash damage are okay options too. Healing Breeze will proc from our Shirking Heals and our Tumbler's Boots, as well as the Healthy Toast on our Earring, so we'll get a lot of usage out of that, and you have to have Hardy for a light armor build. And then for the earring, I tried, guys. I really tried Endless Thirst, and it just isn't as good. I swear, this is a better earring than Endless Thirst. If we took Refreshing Toast off of here and put Nimble on it, we still have better healing than what Endless Thirst gives. I think this really comes down to the fact that we don't have Healthy Toast on Endless Thirst. And because we have so much cranked up healing power on this build, the Healthy Toast goes a really long way. It gets boosted a lot, and it constantly procs Healing Breeze. So yeah, I gotta say, like, I love Endless Thirst, but it does not fit with this build. And if you're going for a healing spec like this, I honestly don't think Endless Thirst is the way to go. Without Endless Thirst, we're healing 4.5k potions. So yeah, there you go, guys. And then for the ultimate, I have gone with the Stone Form. And I love Stone Form. Again, I favor that healing. We're packing the healing on this build, so this goes even further for our ultimate. Honestly, this build's kind of OP. I think the footage might reflect that. I don't know. I tried my best. Anyhow, hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you next time.